Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to Talk to Me Tuesdays. Fucking February 25th, 2025. Cheers. Alright, so responding to comments from last Tuesday from this video. You want to continue this chat with me, just leave a comment in this video and I'll chat with you next Tuesday. Trying to keep the ball rolling here. That's the whole point of this. And if you guys want to be more in contact with me and just to bullshit with me every now and then, randomly, just to hang out, be sure to check out my Discord, right? Just send me an email and I'll send you an invite link. You can join the group over there. It's growing. We're having fun over there. We'll be playing Diablo and possibly making plans for more future games down the line. It's going good. If you want to be a part of that, send me an email. Alright, 2 comments here. This is from Nexus Yang. First of all, I gotta say, Nexus Yang, I gotta thank you deeply. Nexus Yang here has been giving me a lot of he lives in Taiwan and he gives me advice on what to do in Taiwan to help me out. Definitely the places to eat and all that stuff. And the thing that he suggested was to find a marketplace that's local to Taiwan and it has just about everything at a more reasonable price, right? And yeah, that was a massive help. I really appreciate that. So again, thank you Nexus Yang for the continued support. So he writes, it's a little early for me, but in case I don't jump in before Computex, I hope you all have a good trip to Taiwan. Yeah, actually, we already got our plane tickets. Yeah, so the airline that we use is EVA Air. Actually, this is a really good airline. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to, but I mean, to go to Taiwan, this has been a very nice airline. Yeah, I just randomly search for tickets for today, but yeah, these are expensive. We already got the tickets way the fuck ahead of time to make sure that we get the seats that we want. From our experience flying to Taiwan, you would really want to get the higher up fucking seatings, not the basic ones, because a 12-hour flight on a basic economy class tickets, it's doable, but fuck, does it suck. So we definitely go with the higher up because it's worth it, especially for our backs. And then these tickets are not cheap, as you can imagine. We've been going to Taiwan using this airline service, so if you ever want to go to Taiwan, I suggest fucking EVA Air. The planes are cool. The service is, I was amazed how good the service is. The food is good, you can reserve ahead of time what you want to eat. If you have any allergies or shit like that, they can make something for you, and all the good stuff. So yeah, it's a good airline. So if you, like I said, if you ever want to go to Taiwan, give them a try. Next one here is Gab Rev. Yeah, I think I'm done talking about chairs for now, fucking. But yeah, for the past couple of videos, we've been talking about chairs a lot. So I'm gonna skip this topic, but yeah, whatever chair you get, hope it's the one you need. Alright, so he says, switch your thoughts up a bit. You've been working with Paul covering tech news and projects for a while now. Imagine you amassed a far first-hand experience of upgrades in PC hardware in a relatively short space of time. Looking back, how do you feel about the performance evolution of the tools you used? Has it been overwhelming, underwhelming? Over the last 7 years, I've upgraded surprisingly little compared to how I imagined when I first built my PC. I've gone from Ryzen 1600 to a 57X, memory from 16 to 32 gigabytes. My GPU is still the same, 1070, and I always found upgrades to be almost an act of faith without any hands-on real perspective before buying. Alright, good question here. Now the first part here about covering tech news and learning about software, first-hand experience and upgrades and all that shit. Now when I started editing, schools though actually would direct you towards using Macs. It was kind of the standard when you go to school. They just had Macs. Obviously they had a fucking contract with Macintosh in schools, right? So when I started going to school, you learned about Final Cut, which is what the software is built into Mac, or a software that's specifically for Mac, right? So when I started learning about computers, that's all I knew was Mac. And when I say new, I'm just saying familiar with it, meaning that I didn't understand anything about RAM, GPUs, CPUs, hard drives, space, all this shit. I was just very, okay, you just spend a lot of money on one fucking computer and you get this, right? It's actually kind of dangerous now that thinking about it, me talking about it out loud, because I didn't understand how computers work. I just invest $10,000 on this fucking Mac thing and it's gonna give you the performance that you need, when in reality you don't need that much. Yeah, so that's one. Definitely did learn a lot by working with Paul, that's for sure. The funny thing is though, still to this day I don't know enough, right? I'm at a point where I know enough to understand what Paul is talking about, so when he's referencing something, I know what to search for. so I can add any visual stock images to match what he's talking, right? But obviously going into like the fine details about how the GPU structure works with its architecture and all that micro detail, that's not me. I'm not that guy whatsoever, right? Paul helping me out upgrading my PC has been a massive improvement, in the sense of like I went from like a 6-core CPU to now a 32-core that Threads Threadripper, right? I got the AMD Ryzen Threadripper, the 7970X, 32 cores and threads. So obviously this shit tears through renders. I got all these like NVMe M.2s, storage devices, which is super fast. And I got the 4090, and like this thing has 24 gigabytes of VRAM, so throwing out those numbers that are high, sure, it sounds cool and all, but the thing is, like, what I learned is, as you mentioned here, looking back, how do you feel about the performance evolution of the tools you used? Has it been overwhelming or underwhelming? Yeah, when I started editing with my Mac, I can't even remember exactly what the specs were for my Macintosh. I remember doing certain like edits, and like if I wanted to render something, it could take a whole afternoon, especially if I wanted to do anything with After Effects. That was a pain in the ass to do because like I didn't have enough memory for After Effects, and those are the things I didn't like know about until I started working more in editing. Is that depending on the software that you use, your software is going to require specific things from your computer, right? After Effects, for example, when you're doing animations, it stores temporary image data into like the RAM. So what that means is that instead of rendering out every little thing that you're doing, it's storing information inside of your RAM. So when it's playing back After Effects, your little animation is actually playing back the temporary files inside of your RAM. So in other words, the more RAM you have for After Effects, the more space it has to basically give you a smoother playback for your animations that you're working on, right? So that way you don't have to like render, you don't have to like render everything every time you make a move or adjustment, right? It's basically to speed up the process. The same thing could go for actually a 3D animation. Gabriel here, he's works on 3D stuff, right? So if you're a 3D artist, the RAM from your computer, it may not be as important as the VRAM of your GPU, because the thing is that like when you're modeling in 3D stuff, a lot of like the textures and data that the 3D software is using gets stored into the VRAM. Just like After Effects is using the RAM on your computer, 3D software is using the VRAM of your GPU, right? So that's where you start to learn, okay, what you need, what you don't. So in other words, that's where I started to like learn is that depending on what you are doing, what software you are using, you get a more of a performance response when you upgrade specific things. Like I said, if you want to do more visual animations, 2D stuff in After Effects, it uses the RAM. So you want to upgrade the RAM as much as you can to give like After Effects more space for it to work, right? So it can store temporary files, so that way it can play back your animations, in real time without running out of space. With 3D software, it uses the VRAM, so in that case, you want to upgrade it to a GPU that has more VRAM, so you can store your 3D software, textures, data, or whatever. So that's where I noticed the better results from like upgrading my PC. It's more about understanding what your software needs, and then like upgrading those specific things. Now, like for the most part, me and Paul, like I know he's watching these videos, he likes to stalk my videos, so I gotta be careful with how I word things so he doesn't misunderstand me. Now obviously it's cool to make a massive PC, right, for content, and I'm very grateful to be in this position where he can help me by creating a cool PC for me, right? And I'm super grateful. But for the general viewer that doesn't have 10 grand to invest on a fucking PC, you can be fine with just $2,000. But the thing is, you gotta understand what is it that you want. So again, to Gavrev, since he's a 3D artist, from my experience, 3D software, like I said, uses VRAM. So you want to upgrade to a GPU that has higher VRAM, and the rest should be fine. Meaning, like, you should be okay keeping your 32 gigabytes of RAM and then your 5700X, right? So you say you have the 1070, and according to a quick Google search, the 1070 has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Yeah, you should be okay. But like I said, I mean, yeah, if you start noticing like your computer slowing down or just crashing or whatever, and you're using 3D software, the chances is it's running out of VRAM. You might look into that. Also, if you're doing basic animation, you should be okay, But if you want to do more advanced stuff, you know, like that's gonna take up more VRAM space, you know, higher detail quality models and shit like that. Yeah, that's where you may wanna upgrade to a better GPU that has more VRAM for that reason. But yeah, sounds like you have a good PC. And the last part here, I always found upgrading to be almost an act of faith without any hands-on real perspective before buying. Yeah, this is actually a good last point. Yeah, like going back to my example of Macs, I didn't understand how fucking PCs worked, right? I just assumed, oh, you want a editing monster? Just pay this amount of money for an iMac. Now, fuck that. It is good to understand how your software works with your hardware, right? So obviously look into the manual. Definitely, there's plenty of forums or whatever. Like I just gave you an example. After Effects uses RAM and 3D software uses VRAM. That's a good understanding of who you are as a content creator and what you need. So if you have a 1070 and like I just mentioned, there's you have 8 gigabytes of VRAM. At the moment, it's good for you, right? But if you want to like continue expanding your skills as a 3D artist, if you want to get more advanced like visual stuff, there's going to be a chance possibly that you're going to run out of VRAM quickly. That's why you need to upgrade your GPU card to something that has more VRAM. So something from 8 to 12 gigabytes could be a jump in that sense if you know what you want. And this, I guess I'll end with that, is that understanding who you are as a content creator, you understand better what you need from your PC, right? Think of it as a chef, right? You have a chef that specializes as making hamburgers. So for him, like, you know, he needs a good baker to make the bread. He needs a good, you know, farmer to get the beef patties, right? He's very specific to make his hamburgers. He knows what he needs, so he only focuses on that. Makes no sense for him to get like fish if he's not making sushi or whatever, right? He just focuses on the hamburgers. So same thing with you. Like understand exactly what kind of a content creator you are, and depending on what software you are using, understand how your software works and what it needs from your PC to perform better, right? I'm giving a lot of info here, shit. You have a 1070 card, you know, that's good, but you get to a point where like they start not upgrading or supporting drivers and shit like that, and that could cause problems also for your software. Obviously, it's the newer shit, they're more designed with newer technology, has better drivers and software and whatever to have a better performance. So if you are ready to upgrade, maybe do a lower level entry build and then work yourself up, because yeah, getting that like software and driver support can be also another perk to have to invest in a new computer, right? And of course, you know, upgrading like from say DDR4 memory up to DDR5, and it's gonna help also because you get a faster response, you know, read and write speeds and all that shit. Anyways, damn, I spoke a lot. Alright guys, thank you both for these comments, you know. I was able to like break this up and give you a lot of info here. Alright, so both thanks to Gav Rev and to Nexus Yang here. Alright, that's what I got. If you want me to respond to a comment or a question for you, just leave it here and I'll respond to you next Tuesday. Thanks again. Talk to you later. Peace.